prayerfully go through stuff. For me, it was having mentors around me that could teach me. I could ask questions. There's no dumb questions. I've just always surrounded myself with people that knew more than me in other areas. I didn't have to learn it all. Just putting a team of people, a power team around you.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of I Fired Myself. My name is Scott Armstrong, and I got another fantastic episode for you today. So today we're talking to John Dunn. He's the owner and founder of Dominion Door Systems here in Nashville, and his story is so inspiring. It's like John never really had a 9-to-5 job. Sounds like he had a couple here and there, but he was born to be an entrepreneur. And over the course of his life, just hearing his story and his journey and how he's kind of one business has led to another and it's kind of grown and all the success he's had and the bold things that he's done, like literally going to another country with a suitcase full of outlet clothes from an outlet store and starting a whole business. Like that takes a level of confidence that is unmatched, and you have to have the entrepreneurial mindset to do something like that. And so his story is just emblematic of what it takes to be an entrepreneur and everything that, you know, the ups, the downs, the goods, the bads, the struggles, the success, like everything. And so super fantastic conversation. Now, if you want to learn how to become an entrepreneur, you can join our school community. Click the link below in the episode description. It's called How to Become an Entrepreneur. Got well over 20 hours worth of content right now and adding more every day. Got a really awesome entrepreneur roadmap series to go take you from working a corporate job, 9 to 5, like just paycheck after paycheck, to being a full-blown business owner. It's got a nice roadmap for you on how to make that transition safely. And then also a massive sales course on there right now. It's what I was trained on in sales, what I've been doing in my business with sales and having success. So it's a fantastic offering for you. You got a 7-day free trial, can't lose. Go check it out. Click the link below. Come join us. And we do a strategy call every Saturday morning for all the members. You can just jump in and at least hang out with other entrepreneurs, check in, see what's working, what's not, get some advice. But yeah, so click the link below and come join us. And without further ado, enjoy the show. All right, everybody, welcome back to I Fired Myself. Scott Armstrong here. Super pumped. I got a fantastic guest for you today. So I've been telling you guys, like, networking is the key to everything. This has just unlocked so many doors for me. And previous guest, Elrina from Equinox Power Cleaning, invited me to this awesome networking group that meets every day of the week, the weekdays in Nashville here. And the first one I went to is the Monday group over in East Nashville or West Nashville. So if you guys are in the Nashville area, you got to come to the Connect Nashville groups. Find it on Facebook. Come hang out. They're all over town. But my guest today, John Dunn from Dominion Door Systems, is here. He's the one that facilitates the Monday meeting. And I've gotten to know him over the course of the last few weeks. And I see him at all the meetups. And it's just like, man, I'll tell you, if there's anybody that's living the entrepreneur life, it's John. He's just from what I've observed, he's doing it the right way. So I wanted to bring him on, have a conversation about his background and what motivates him. Because, dude, you're like one of the most motivated people I've seen at any of these meetups. And so, dude, anyway, John, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Scott.
Of course, man. Thanks for taking the time. I know you're a busy guy. Like, geez, never a dull moment. There's always a garage door to be fixed, and it's just like, what I see from you, like, my first impression is that, like, you're living the idea of helping people fix their problems, right? That's just like what it all is about. And your industry is like, when people have a problem, it's like a big problem. It's something that needs to be fixed like right away, type of thing. You know, there's some it's like the problem I solve for people. It's like, yeah, they need to make more money. They need to level up their social media, whatever. But it's not like a 911 emergency type situation. But it's like if their garage door's stuck and they're stuck in their car, or their car's stuck in the garage, they can't get out. That's like an emergency situation. So you provide a service that's very high demand. And so I know you're busy all the time. So I guess tell us a little bit about Dominion Door Systems. Let's start off there and we'll just kind of unpack it.
So yeah, we moved to the Nashville area in 2022 and needed to get back to work. We actually had left Texas to do missionary work in Central America. Went down to teach business at a Bible college down there, and then the pandemic happened and blew up and kind of changed the trajectory of our life. After we uprooted from Texas and went to Central America, we found ourselves uprooting once again and kind of free to go wherever at that point in time. And I needed to get back to work. Wasn't real sure what the pandemic was going to do long term, but we knew that we couldn't set in a closed down country. The mission had to basically be aborted because they closed everything down, and they closed the Bible college down that I was going to teach at.
What country was this?
Belize.
Okay.
Yeah. And so we had a ministry we had followed and were connected with that was out of Franklin. And then we had a good friend who was running the garage door division for a big company that builds barn dominiums all over the Mid-South. And he said, man, we need contractors. We need garage door contractors. And wasn't real sure that I wanted to do it, but I knew I needed to get back to work and kind of get back into the workflow. And so we kind of made the leap of faith to just come out here and join up with him and started contracting for this company exclusively. I hadn't really started Dominion Door Systems yet, but I was just 1099 contract, and they got me trained in it. I have a general contracting background, is what I did for 18 years in Texas. And so been around all sorts of construction. And so I was like, yeah, teach me how to do it. I can do it. I've subcontracted that part out all my life, but how hard is it going to be to learn? So jumped in, they trained me for like 3 days, and I was off to the races, just doing my own work, contracting again. And was with them for about 9 months, and just kind of got burnt out pretty quick because of the amount of work that were feeding me, which was great, but it was 15-hour days, quite a haul. Some days we might be in West Tennessee one day, East Tennessee one day we might be in Birmingham, Alabama the next, or up in Kentucky. So they had like a 250-mile radius. So it was pretty grueling, but it was good enough to get us in to see, are we going to put roots down again? Are we going to be here? And it allowed us to see, okay, yeah, we're here. We're going to, go ahead and put roots down in Middle Tennessee and raise our family here. And so at that point, I went ahead and decided to start the business, which was in 2023. Went ahead and rolled it out, and kind of got started on that grind of business, building up everything that we needed to do there. So.
Okay, cool, man. So, all right. That's good to know. All right. So you hit the ground running. What was that like? So have you started? Okay, let's just back up to the beginning. All right, let's just dive in. So you started your first business when you were 15. So what I was going to ask is, like, have you started a business before? But obviously you've been doing this your whole life. So just starting a business from scratch, it's like, oh yeah, I'll just, it becomes what I'm learning. So I'm on, like, I was just typing a little article, post, something like that, whatever you want to call it, in my little school community. And basically it's like, I was like, yeah, I've been working on starting my second business, I guess second, maybe technically third, with the little school community as well that I'm working on growing. And it's like with entrepreneurship, you get to the point where it's like, it kind of becomes like instinct. It's like, okay, yeah, I know the steps I need to do. Okay, another way to put it is like, for me with a podcast, okay, I've started so many podcasts over the years, helping other people start a podcast. It's like a lot of people have no idea how to start a podcast. It's like, I know every single step of the way. It's like, oh, you got to get all the socials. You got to start an RSS feed and get your Podbean and your YouTube channel and your logo and blah, blah, blah. So it's like, for me, it's just like, okay, there's like a system. There's just whatever. You just like follow the system to start a business, start a podcast, and it becomes like second nature. But so I heard that in your story where it's like, okay, yeah, we're just going to start a business and just go. I know how to do this. Like, this is like something I know how to do. So take us back to when you were a teenager and what that looked like. What was your first business?
I was a leather maker.
Wow.
I grew up in a kind of a cowboy family, farming, ranching, rodeoing. I was a rodeo athlete as a kid. I rode bulls, junior rodeo. And my dad, he invested in, taught me how to make leather goods. He bought me a Singer sewing machine, industrial or commercial grade, and started teaching me how to cut leather, how to tool leather. And so I was making belts and wallets and rodeo chaps that like bull riders and bareback riders wear. I was making those for a profit at 15 years old, ordering my own. My dad taught me how to order my own supplies through like Tandy Leather and other suppliers, and taught me how to do all of it. Within 3 or 4 months, I was doing my own leather goods. And so I was able to, buy my own truck by the time I was 16 years old. I was able to finance me a rodeo rig by a local guy who let me pay him out, which was pretty cool. So that was really my first exposure to being a business owner. That was in the late 90s. And, I just sold goods to people I knew, but it did pretty good. I mean, I was doing pretty good for a 15-year-old, 16-year-old young man. And so that was really my first exposure. I grew up in an entrepreneur family. And so I was afforded the tools, taught the value of a dollar at a young age, taught the value of hard work and morals and character, stuff that goes into just to being an entrepreneur really. And so at that point in time, I did that, and that would have been my first business per se.
That's awesome, man. So that was going to be my next question. Is like, is your family entrepreneurial? Like what did your parents do?
Yeah, well, my dad, he designed and manufactured cooling towers in Texas, and so a lot of the refinery stuff, cooling towers are the big, cooling facilities that go in refineries and big shops and whatnot. So, he was being a business owner through that.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So that's fantastic. So you had an absolute advantage in life. I think that it's really interesting because I interviewed a gal yesterday, Paula Chilton, kind of reframed some things for me and just like gave me a lot of hope for the future. And something I talk about a lot. A lot of my friends, colleagues, they are very much in like the homeschooling world, the unschooling world. An episode I did recently with my friend Brett Pike. He's got a huge homeschooling curriculum program, and a lot of it centered around entrepreneurship and teaching the next generation these entrepreneurial skills. I did a video production for an event a couple weeks ago down in Franklin, and there's a place called the Williamson County. Well, it's a part of Williamson County Schools, but it's called the Entrepreneur and Innovation Center. Have you ever heard of this?
I have not.
Dude, it blew my mind. So it's like an event space. So this event was there. It was like it wasn't an event for like adults. It was like a guy who's like a public speaker was hosting an event there, and they hired me to be the video guy, and but the place itself, it was this amazing, massive entrepreneur center that's like filled with like 3D printers and sewing machines and like laser etchers, and they actually have classes in public high school now. It's called Entrepreneurship 101. And I
That's
was
so
like,
great.
dude, my mind was absolutely blown. So I had the principal, like the lady that's in charge of the whole program, on yesterday, and I'm sure this episode will come out after that one. But like, and if you guys haven't seen that one, go check it out because what they're doing is changing the game. And so they're like the leading, like I say leading because their students have won national pitch competitions like 2 years in a row. They have like tons of students that have successful businesses, dude, that are like 15, 16 years old. Like this one gal, I think she's a senior. She has a business where it's like test strips for your drinks to see if it's been drugged or not. And she's like already like a massive successful business owner. And she's like a senior in high school. And I'm just like, this is a public school. Like I give public school a hard time because I was never taught this stuff in public school. I'll tell you that much. And that's why I'm so passionate about it now as an adult, where I'm like trying to help others kind of find this stuff. But so all that to say, it's so cool that you had that at a young age because it's really an unfair advantage in life. It really helps see the world in a different way. And it's like the world, it's kind of like your own personal video game where you just go out and just create your own destiny. And for the most of my adult life, I was in like a paycheck job, and I just, I didn't see what I see now. And so that's why I'm so passionate about helping others to see that. But that's awesome, man. So, okay, so what was next for you? So what did that look like after that? So you did the leather business. Like, how long did you do that for? And then what did you do next?
Oh, probably just a couple years. Life kind of changed. My parents divorced, unfortunately, I guess maybe fortunately, but and so we moved from the Houston area of Texas out to West Texas area, Midland, Odessa area, and yeah, I was just not really just being a high school kid and rodeoing and enjoying my rodeo. I mean, I competed as a bull riding athlete, which I'd made income doing that as well. If you don't know anything about that, you pay an entry fee to compete, but you also win prize money. So I was pretty good. I was probably the best of the best at that age in Texas. And so I was making money rodeo and riding bulls. I had scholarships to go to college. I was an Wrangler all-star rodeo athlete for the state of Texas. And, just living my dream at a young age. And then ended up getting my high school girlfriend pregnant. And at that point in time, and that was my senior year, decided, I just got to go to work. I got to go to work. I could have went on my scholarship, but I decided to lay that down and went to work and got into the air conditioning trades.
Okay.
My uncle had a mechanical contracting business, and I moved over into that realm. And I guess that would probably be my only really employee type job I've had per se, where I worked for him and worked for him for several months as a young, father coming out of high school, and did that. And then just kind of saw the housing boom coming up in the early 2000s, and went on my own, started contracting on my own. I got on with a home building, a company that did a lot of the new houses in the Houston, Austin, and Dallas area. They were a pretty big home HVAC contractor. And I guess by the time I was 20 years old, I had 7 guys working for me. I was running 3 crews and doing HVA installs in high-end homes in the Houston, Texas area. Had moved back there from Midland. And so we did that for, I guess, better part of 3 years. At that point in time, just kind of young and dumb, and making a lot of money, and just kind of free on my own. But, with that, the money and the responsibility of having young kids and being married, we weren't really ready to grow up. So spent a lot of time and a lot of that money in the bars, running the bars and kind of partying and leaving the kids at the babysitter, and just kind of digging myself in a hole, really. Just kind of woke up one day and said, you know what, I'm kind of really tired of this. I don't want to be a deadbeat dad that's running the bars and leaving his kids at the babysitter. And at that point, I made a pretty drastic life change and kind of shut down that whole thing after 3 years. And mind you, I was probably bringing in $250,000 a year as a 21-year-old young man. And you can imagine not having, at that point, really didn't have much of a moral compass, because I was kind of, I guess, more of a prodigal at that time, prodigal child. And,
I can relate.
But there was something in me, the Lord was in my heart at a young age, but I didn't live a life conducive to that and wasn't raised so much around it. So, but God, I really feel like he just kind of said, you know what, you're going to be the one to draw the line in the sand. You're going to be the one to cross over, if you're willing. And just something came over me, and I said, you know what, we're not doing this anymore. We're loading up and we're headed back to West Texas, where my now ex-wife's family was from. And we went out there. She kind of went kicking and screaming because she really loved the life down there. I did to a point, but then when I said I woke up, I was like, you know what, God has more for our family.
Oh, yeah.
Well, she ended up filing for divorce and leaving me, and pretty much going off the deep end. And I found myself with 2 young kids, and just, okay, here we go. It's time to grow up at 22 years old. It's time to do this. You're a young father. And I just started a handyman business out there in West Texas and Midland, Odessa, doing just odds and ends, had carpentry, just stuff I learned growing up, on farms and ranches and my dad's business. And just started, painting fences, painting houses, drywall work, just handyman stuff, and at that point in time, probably was my biggest job was like $5,000, which was pretty good for me. I actually had found myself homeless at the time because my ex-wife had, she had divorced me, and I was staying with her parents, and ended up going to college for a semester because they gave me a place to live. They actually gave me a scholarship to ride bulls for them.
Wow.
So I was already basically 5 years removed from when I should have been, but I went ahead and went because I needed to, I was going to go ahead and pursue my passion. They gave me a scholarship for college, gave me a place to live. And so I rodeoed for that semester, had a house to live in, and her parents helped me take care of the kids, and I took care of the kids. And then, I found me a church and just kind of rededicated my life to Christ and got baptized and just went all in. I said, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it the right way. And God is so good. He put the right people around me. I had mentors from day one, and I just really locked in as a young man and took advantage of just, what the Lord had for me, and just started growing, and ended up going to a Bible college in 2005, and, just didn't really know what path it was going to be, but I was still, doing some pulpit, some outreach ministry for rodeos and youth sports and stuff, and just kind of learning, learning about the Bible, but also sharing my faith. And at that point, and I was at a crossroads. Am I going to be a minister, or am I going to work? And really one of the mentors said, you need to be where God wants you to be. And your calling may not be behind a pulpit. It may be, maybe as a businessman. Cause I was doing pretty decent with the handyman work. And, I landed my first $100,000 job, a Gold's Gym renovation, my first year in business, which was huge.
Yep.
I never would have dreamed of it. And that set me on the trajectory to be a general contractor for the better part of 18 years. There in the Midland area, we built a great business, had lots of employees, and our business became our marketplace. Our marketplace was our ministry. Had a lot of, just a great opportunity to serve our community, to serve those who worked for us, and to give back to those in need through that. And it afforded us other opportunities. We got into some real estate investing and fixing, flipping houses, and started some other businesses through that, and had some ancillary businesses off of that. Started a cabinet fabrication shop, basically out of need because we couldn't get our cabinets, the fabrication of them, done in time to meet our needs on our commercial jobs. And so I bought a guy's cabinet shop out and started that, hired a manager who ran it for a couple years, and then ended up selling it to them. Kind of found myself as a way to mentor others, build them up in a business, and then sold it off to them. And they had their own business. I was able to teach them how to run a business. Did the same thing with the landscaping company in 2008 when the housing market bust and everything got pretty slow. I just started mowing lawns just to have extra income. I still have my general contracting business, but it was tough time in the nation for construction.
Yeah.
And so I started mowing yards.
Yeah, that was like 2008.
2008, 2009.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I mean, I was in my early 20s. I was running around causing a ruckus, dude. Like, I mean, maybe we're around the same age. Like, I was I graduated in 2002. It's probably roughly the same age. And so
99. I graduated in 99.
Yeah, so we're basically the same age. But yeah, I was still very much in my hedonistic, just like running and gunning stage by then.
Yeah.
I think I got sober 10 years ago this year.
That's awesome.
But yeah, that 10 years, tell you what.
Yeah.
So so I get
it. It's fun for a season. It's always fun for a season, but the consequences are pretty stiff.
Yeah, bad. But yeah, 2008, I was not even paying attention to anything. Yeah. Definitely not running a business or doing what you were doing. So that's cool.
Yeah. So I found myself, mowing yards, and then because I had a commercial contracting business, I ended up, went ahead and made a full LLC and started hiring some people and hired a manager. And before we knew it, we were taking commercial contracts, doing 1 acre sod fields for soccer fields and planting 30 trees on a job. I mean, big stuff. And it was a pretty lucrative little business through that downturn because there was the thing about Midland, Odessa is it's oil money out there. So even when everything else is bad in other areas, there's a lot of wealth in that area because of the oil and gas sector. And so people were always pretty much spending money still. Maybe the construction projects weren't on the high end, but people would still like their yards done and trees planted and whatnot. So I did that ran that business for 3 years, and I sold that to my manager and empowered him, taught him, and he was able to take and, have a business for him and his family. And, just real estate investing, did some other investment type stuff. I was partnered on a apartment complex with some people in 2012, I believe. I was just looking to do I started some real estate investment training. I did a 2-year symposium course, invested in myself to learn everything about real estate I could, all sorts of facets from commercial to multifamily to single family to fix and flips to mobile house to land development, and really got a good handle on what that looked like and really saw that as an avenue, for the future for our family. And so I started, a couple businesses through that, for fixing and flipping, but I also partnered on an apartment complex that I was able to sweat equity. The deal, I was the builder, and I got percentages of ownership of the apartments as I built them. I went through the land development acquisition, went through the zoning changes and all that, hired the architects and engineers to do all the design work. And I actually moved my office to the field out of my construction office, moved it to the field in a field office. And I ran that project it was a 2-phase project. I ran it for 18 months basically and built a 108 unit apartment complex, clubhouse, swimming pool. And how I got my ownership is every time I CO'd a building, I got my percentage, up to the total percentage. So I had to work several months before I got any fruit of it, but it was pretty fruitful after. because of how we set it up, you know. And
Yeah.
so that was pretty rewarding. It was an awesome opportunity to go through that whole process, you know, developing 5 acres and going through everything and building, even though I was a builder, you know, as a GC, but actually doing it myself instead of my project managers and superintendents doing it. I was actually doing it myself and got to learn a ton through that, you know.
Yeah.
Got to learn about lean construction, you know, the lean method of manufacturing that was basically invented by Toyota Motor Corporation has moved over into construction. So I was able to learn a ton through that, and, you know, how to get efficient and keep costs down. And so that was a pretty awesome time in life. And then, you know, sold out over time and reinvested into some commercial land development, and, you know, started selling off land to oil and gas companies and whatnot. And, you know, I had a cattle business. My kids rodeoed when they got older. So we invested in land and built an arena, and had livestock and horses. And, you know, we mentored a lot of the youth rodeo and high school rodeo crowd in that area. They'd come out and we'd have practices and jackpots, and just a good environment for them to come out, you know, where we, you know, parents could keep their eyes on them, and also we could teach them and pour into their lives, you know, speak into their lives. And so that was, you know, that business wasn't really like a money making business, but it was, you know, maybe more of a break even, make a little bit of money, but it was a teaching business where I could teach my kids and friends, you know, the value of a dollar on hard work, on how to do ranch work, on how to take care of cattle and horses, and, you know, vaccinating them, and how to handle, you know, taking them to the vet and pulling trailers, and just everything that comes into that rodeo life. So that was, you know, that was kind of another very rewarding business that we had, even though it wasn't a big money maker. It was a lot of fun.
Whoa, dude, that's so epic, man. Like each step of that way, each step of the way, it's just like what I was saying. Like I was saying, it's like one business kind of leads to another. I was talking with another gentleman about this a few weeks ago, where it's like one door opens and then something else like presents itself, and it's like if you hadn't have achieved this step, that maybe that door would not be open to you. And I say this in my life all the time, like it's like every year over year, like it's almost like every aspect of my life is completely different in so many different ways. And it sounds like that's just such an amazing journey to hear. So I mean, I'm sure you can relate to that. It's just like ever unfolding, ever growing, ever evolving, and just the idea that as business owners, like this is what we get to do. It's like, and there's the amount of growth and just such an expansive life experience out of all that. I mean, that's just amazing. So, wow, man. Well, thanks for sharing all that. And that brings you up to kind of where you were then thinking about, okay, and then you went on your mission then, right? Is that?
Well, yeah, I'll back up a little bit. So I got, in 2018, or probably 2017, I was getting really burned out in the general contracting world. High stress. We were doing commercial work, but we were also doing public sector work. So we're dealing with cities and counties and fire stations, police stations, schools, and that's a whole nother level. I mean, it's the red tape and the, you know, it's public, it's sealed bid type stuff. So it's competitively bid work. You might show up to a bid table with 12 general contractors bidding, and then, you know, it's just it's pretty cutthroat business. You know, it's hard to make a lot of money in it. There are rewarding jobs where you can make a lot of money, but it can be pretty cutthroat as well. And I just really got the stress level through it, and dealing with deadlines and people wanting you to do something for nothing. And I really wanted out of the general contracting space, and we had done enough real estate investment to where we were getting close to doing it. So around 2017, I started preparing to exit that business. I mean, it provided for our family for many years, but it wasn't worth the stress I was going through, and just the headache of it. And, you know, babysitting 50-year-old men on a job site daily, basically what we come down to as a general contractor. You know, we might be on a $3-4 million job, and that's 6-8 months long, and you're having to just babysit. And, you know, it's part of the game, but, you know, we had good project managers and superintendents. We had a great team. You know, I had around 12 employees at the time, and I just really was ready to kind of make an exit out of that. So by 2018, I was able to shut it down and just, you know, do my real estate stuff for a few years. And I just really got tired of, you know, of the grind of business. I'd started at a young age. And so just really a disdain for what was going on in our nation. And, you know, we've been in ministry. We've been in ministry in churches. You know, but it's been the marketplace. And what I found in the United States is a lot of people, they don't want to hear it. They think, oh, I'm in America, I'm going to heaven. This is pre-COVID. A lot of stuff has changed since COVID, but pre-COVID, my mindset was, we did some, mission work in the States and different things. And I'm like, you know what, it's just time we go help other people. And so we basically cashed out, and sold our home, sold the properties we had, and we went to Central America, and just desire to go help and use what God had given me, the ability to be an entrepreneur. And so we went through the training process, and it was going to be Belize or Costa Rica. We went with Missionary Ventures International out of Orlando. Went through our training, and based upon really the resume and our history, they thought, Belize or Costa Rica are two prime candidates for your skill set to teach. Because I didn't have a desire to go build a church and open a church. My desire was to go help build the people. There's enough churches on every corner in every country you go to. Been heavily evangelized, and missionaries have been sent for years, but where's the fruit was my thinking. And so we saw that the people, a lot of people in the U.S., they didn't really want to engage with it. So I was like, we'll just go to another country. First and foremost, I've always been an advocate of taking care of our own first. If we can fix us, then we can help fix others, right? But in the U.S., pre-COVID, people weren't really having it. And so, we just prayed about it and felt like that was the direction the Lord had for us, and went through the training, and we went down, and through that, we knew we'd start a business down there, because of we didn't go on a religious visa or whatever permit. I got a actual work permit because even though I was going as a missionary to teach business in a Bible college and help impart into people's lives, we were actually going to start a business because I needed to learn the ins and outs of the business in that country. And so, we did our exploratory trip. We spent several weeks down there, and we realized after about 3 weeks in Belize that this is where we were supposed to be. We never even actually went to Costa Rica to explore. So we spent 7 weeks down in Belize and just got to know the people and get involved. And through that, we knew that, okay, we're going to start 1 to 2 businesses. I'm going to do tool rentals, or I'm going to do outfitter type stuff, sell clothes because it's a tourist hotspot. There's a lot of the Caribbean's down there, a lot of scuba diving and fishing and jungles and whatnot. And so we came back to the States, and we loaded up. I bought a bunch of used tools like concrete saws, jackhammers, big power drills, stuff, and I had it shipped down. And also got a couple suitcases full of Columbia sportswear from one of the outlet malls, and took a bunch of hiking boots and just like Columbia sportswear down. And, I started the business called Belize Outfitters and Rentals. And we set up that market. We had someone that we had met there that was familiar with the market. They have markets basically every Friday and Saturday in some of these districts down there. And so we set up in the market under tents and tables, and he helped us sell the first couple of weeks. And these Columbia, the new clothing just went off like hotcakes. Like it became like a hot commodity, because what we found is they don't, everything is imported into Belize, but they do not, there's no exports really, but they don't get new clothes there. Everything is shipped in through like Goodwill cubes of clothes from Goodwill. And that's what they sell at market. Everything's used. And so you might find a boutique with women and children's clothes new, but no new men's clothes. And so it was like, wow. And so we were selling these Columbia boots and everything. I was like, okay, this is going to work. And so I started a business. I got with the attorney down there, hired an attorney, and went through the whole process, set up sales tax and everything, set up a set of books, a Shopify account, a website, everything you would do to start a business. And then, tailor made to that country specific, and was advised, through all that, and got that set up and started selling got a deal with Columbia International, Sportswear International. And so I started importing in, instead of having to get from the outlet malls, I started importing in directly from Colombia through Panama, doing international trade. So I was able to learn the international trade process, how the tariffs work, and had to hire a broker. So it's pretty unique to get to learn that, but it was important if I was going to teach in their country, to know all the nuances of that. And so, we did that, and it did so well. We stayed busy. I mean, people just loved it because we were able to, all the tour guides there, all the fishermen there, all the lobster fishermen, the Caribbean lobster. So it was a pretty cool thing. And then this thing called the pandemic comes along, and and threw a curveball at us like everybody. And so we found ourselves this kind of like, what do we do? And we wrote it out to the end of 2021. And, the writing was on the wall that, we didn't really know what the future held. But we sought some counsel and thought, it's time to abort it and go back to the States, because they closed the Bible college down, everything. I mean, they had us closed into our homes on Sundays. You couldn't move about the country, 7 p.m. curfew every day, on and on and on, and so we found ourselves coming back, and that's what kind of landed me back. I had to get back to work because we weren't no longer going to do missionary work. But since then, we got out here. We've since gone back multiple times, and we've and got students enrolled in something called Kingdom University. It's an ongoing university out of Franklin, and so we was able to do some conferences down there, and we have some ongoing mentorships with people we do through some Zoom meetings and WhatsApp and whatnot. But so it really wasn't all for naught, but it was a pretty unique situation with the pandemic coming into a third world country and basically having to come and start over, because we uprooted and went, and then, we found ourselves having to start over, and we could have went back to Texas. We love Texas, but, the opportunity in Middle Tennessee and being connected to a ministry was important to us. And so we got out here, and when we got out here, we just, after a few months, we just really fell in love with Middle Tennessee and knew that we were putting roots down. And so, fast forward to where we're at now, that's where we started Dominion Door Systems, knowing that I had to provide for my family and start another business. Wasn't expecting that, but yeah, so that lands us. This is our 11th business to have since I started having businesses.
Holy crap, dude. That is so cool. That is so inspiring. Well, I mean, I can empathize. I was living in Oregon at the time during the whole lockdowns and everything. And that's kind of what prompted me to come to Tennessee, was that, yeah, by late 2021, I was like, I am out of here, dude. Like, it wasn't as bad as, some South American country with the curfews and all that. But it was like, there was a time where we were like, dude, are they going to start like rounding us up in like boxcars? Like, for real? Like, that's what we were saying, like out in Oregon. Like, it was crazy. So anyway, I was like, I'm out of here. I'm moving to Nashville. That was it. So I know exactly kind of the mentality of that, although you had a more extreme example of it. But man, that is so cool. Like, one of the things I talk about all the time is like, dude, like, if you're going to start a business, like literally, like, people have this idea that you have to like get $100,000 loan, and it's like all this stuff to start a business. It's like, that's the thing that we have to shatter in people's minds. It's like, I go on a job, like, I apologize to my audience because they've heard this story before, but recently I did a job because I still get like former handyman clients reaching out to me. So I'll go help them. I did some curtains in a nice fancy restaurant that's opening up in the neighborhood here that I've done some work for them before, and just hanging up curtains. And I'm sitting there, and actually it's important because that was the day I just started to embark on this path of starting this podcast. I'd wanted to do this podcast for a long time, and the school community. That was the day that it all sparked, because I'm sitting there and I'm installing these curtains in this nice restaurant. And I'm making like, decent, pretty good money for like a 1-day job. You know what I mean? Like, probably what a lot of people would make in 2 weeks in like a regular like paycheck 9-to-5 job. Like, I'm making in like a day installing these curtains in a fancy restaurant. But I'm sitting there. I'm like, I got a laser level, I got a stud finder, I got a drill, I got a tape measure and a pencil. And I'm like, you could literally just start a business with that, like for less than $200. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like, and just anything. Like, you go get a shovel and start a business, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you bought. This is so hilarious. Like, when you frame it like this, yeah, you shipped in a bunch of tools. That's super boss move. But like, you went to Belize with a suitcase full of stuff you bought at like the outlet mall, and you started a business in a foreign country. Like, it's that the idea of like the entrepreneur mentality. It becomes a muscle that you flex and you work out. To even have the confidence to just say, yeah, I'm going to go to Belize and start a business. I'm just going to pack a bunch of clothes in a suitcase and go and start a business, dude. And then having success with it. Like, to me, that just screamed, like, if you hadn't had a lifetime of entrepreneurial confidence to be able to make that leap to just go to Belize and start a business with a suitcase full of Columbia gear, dude, that is so epic. Yeah. That's amazing, dude. That's so awesome.
Yes, sir.
That's awesome. So, all right. Well, I want to give you a little bit of time at the end to talk about Dominion Door Systems, but I think this is a great opportunity to kind of zero in on that entrepreneurial mindset thing. So you've helped coach people start businesses, build businesses. You've exited out of businesses. I mean, that's a lot of people's dreams, to build up a successful business and then sell it. And then, hey, life is all good after that. But it's like, what would you say to somebody who is stuck in a paycheck job? They're wanting to start a business. They drive around town and they see, oh, there's a restaurant, there's a dry cleaner, there's a bowling alley. Like these are all businesses that started with an idea in somebody's head, but they have no idea how to like bridge that gap. They're like, ah, it's like a mystery. Like, what would you say to that person that has a desire to build out a skill set, to build an offer that they can bring to the market? What would be your advice to that person?
Surround yourself with people smarter than you. Start building a collective team of people. Start educating yourself. There's so many seminars and aftermarket type schoolings you can go to. Start investing in yourself. And, you know, I think the most important thing is have a relationship with the Lord, with God, and having a prayer life, because that's a next level thing that we can have in life that we can engage with. And if it wasn't for the Lord in our life, there would be no way we could have done what we've done through our businesses. And so, you know, not everybody is a believer, but that's a next level thing that you can take. But, you know, prayerfully go through stuff. For me, it was having mentors around me that could teach me. I could ask questions. There's no dumb questions. You know, I've just always surrounded myself with people that knew more than me in other areas. I didn't have to learn it all. Just putting a team of people, a power team around you, showing up and, you know, eliminate any fear, any fear, shutting down distractions in your life, eliminating, you know, the things that may pull you down, whether it be drugs or alcohol or partying or, you know, engaging in too much television or, you know, trying to live through your kids. There's so many things that are distractions out there. Not that we shouldn't live for our kids, but, you know, I see so many people that they spend the time on the road at every other sporting event, and there's a lot of distractions. If you really want to be an entrepreneur, business owner, you have to have that grit, and you have to be willing to go forward and do the things other people aren't willing to do. And therefore you'll get different results that other people aren't able to get through that. But, you know, just being willing to grind and not have the fear to, you know, start putting one step in front of the other, one foot in front of the other, and stepping it out, start moving forward and having forward motion. But the biggest thing is distractions. Everybody has distractions in life. If you can start eliminating an hour a day of distractions and start putting that focus into your business and start studying, that empowerment will begin to rise up in you, and that fear will dissipate, and that faith will begin to rise, and you'll begin in your mind to see the end from the beginning. You'll be able to start seeing it, and God will give us vision. If you submit to God and you ask, he's a good father. He's not going to leave his children without. It may not be in the timing that we expect or want, but he always shows up. He always shows up. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever, and he'll show up for you. And so just go forward without fear and have faith in God. And I guess that would be the best thing I could tell people to do.
That's amazing, man. Yeah, I'm a believer myself, and I've had so many instances over the last few years where it's like almost like literally like miracles, dude. Like things that in ways I could have never expected, never could have orchestrated on my own. And it's just like, so I come from at it from a place of just gratitude. Like, just show me what you want me to do. Just give me the clarity to carry out your will. Cause I know that's what I need to do. Like I can't invent it all myself. So, you know, that's very, very strong words. And I definitely lean and on that. And I'm just out here, I'm on full faith mode right now, baby. I'm like, let's go, you know. It's like,
and part of our journey here, and I think it's important for your viewers to hear this part is, you know, the businesses I had in Texas, they were all, you know, byproducts of what I had. So we always had an income coming in from our main business, our general contracting business. So the extra business, you know, I might be running 2 or 3 businesses at any given time. You know, the extra businesses were just extra profit on top. When we started over out here, we started from zero. We knew nobody, really. I mean, we had a few relationships that got us out here, but we had to build our whole network again. In the Midland, Texas area, we knew everybody. Everybody knew our businesses. Midland, Odessa is a small metropolitan area of like 400,000 people, but we got well known. We won, you know, small business of the year in 2009 through our general contracting company, which is pretty huge for a young company down there. But here we had to start over. And so when we started over, you know, the grind of not knowing how we're going to pay the bills. I mean, there was a 2-week stretch when we came out here where we had to go to the food pantry to get groceries. Never in my life. And it's fine. They're there for that reason. But we were at a part like, we don't know what to do. The phone wasn't ringing. You know, you're starting a new business in a new area. And this was after I separated from contractor for that company. Now I decided to go out on my own fully. That was a big step of faith because I cut out quite a bit of income from that company. There were some other things with them. They started getting funny with the money and not paying on time. And so I had to stand on principle and cut ties. And it was a pretty hard few months because of that, because I went from pretty large sums of income, contracted for them to nothing, and starting Dominion Door Systems in 2023. And then I tear my meniscus and have to have surgery during this time. Well, garage doors, you got to climb ladders, and sometimes you got to climb big ladders, 12-foot ladders. And so that was another struggle through that time, because I was not able to do all the work. I was hobbling around, and so really struggled, for a few months, and getting through. And then, that's when I really started working the networking meetings hard and starting to connect and realizing the value of the networking, which I've never really had to do in the past in my other businesses because of just the dynamic of being where we were at. But being in an area where we know nobody, fast forward to Connect Nashville, that's been an integral part of the relationships, and, just getting to people to build trust with, that they would trust to know that I'm, that we're going to take good care of them. And so with that time, talking about just praying, God, what are we meant to do this, Lord? Are we supposed to be here? You're kind of hitting your head against the wall at times because the phone's not ringing. You don't know if you're gonna be able to pay the bills this week or not. We've never really been in that situation because we'd always been afforded, money, income through our businesses over time, but we found ourselves kind of really struggling, which, looking back now, it's good. At the time, it wasn't so good. You're questioning God, are we doing what we're supposed to be doing? And I just had, just praying through, and I was, Lord, what do we do? And I got it. He just dropped in my spirit, go be a server. Go be a server. Go wait tables. No, I've never in my life been in that kind of industry. I mean, I didn't know what that looked like. And so I was like, but you know what? I got to thinking, I'm like, you know what? I can run my garage door business during the day. And if I can find a job at night somewhere, I mean, I can learn. I'm a team player. I can learn systems. And so the first restaurant I walked into was called Jonathan's Grill. And
I love Jonathan's.
Yes. And 11 o'clock in the morning, I just walked in, and the manager was like, yeah, we're hiring people. I'm like, well, I don't know anything about serving. I've served people. I've had businesses where I've served people. And I gave her my rundown. She's like, yeah. And they hired me, put me through some training, and got my TABC license where I could serve, in the restaurant and whatnot. And that was probably the most rewarding job I've ever had. And so that was, I guess, my 9 to 5.
Yeah.
I had to go work for somebody else, but it was so rewarding because I was in a different environment than I've ever been. I was able to learn things that I've never learned before. And I was also able to add value to that team. I was able to teach them things. I've built restaurants physically as a general contractor. I built teams of people, but I also understand processes and their way of doing things. So I was able to take their manual, their employee policies and everything, and implement. I was like, okay, yeah, I can do this. And within a few months, I was able to just, to provide value back to them as it was providing value to me and my family by having a good place to work. And I was able to get favorable shifts and, working 4 or 5 nights a week. And I was able to really bridge the gap from my family, but I was burning it on both ends because I was, garage doors were starting to progressively pick up, which I knew it would. It was just a matter of time, but being able to be in that environment, I met so many amazing people. I met one of my biggest customers serving them at a table one night that a custom builder in Nashville. I was able to generate work, and it was just a really cool time. It was about 7 or 8 months that I had to do it, and it finally came to an end. Thank the Lord, because that was a grind. Working, getting home at 2 in the morning and having to get up and go, and just that whole nighttime mentality, and then getting up and when you don't want to miss out on a phone call whenever the phone rings at 6:30 or 7 in the morning for a garage door. So that was pretty challenging, but it was also rewarding at the same time because I was able to grow. My character was able to grow. I was able to make new relationships and learn a lot of cool stuff in the industry I didn't know anything about, and also add value and have some new relationships along the way that I've been able to actually connect and mentor even to this day.
Wow, that's awesome. Now I kind of want to go work part-time at Jonathan's. No, just kidding. But
yeah, it was a good gig. It's a great restaurant. And
I know the general manager of one of the restaurants around here, and it's fantastic. Like I've hosted a lot of meetup events, and they're really awesome. And we've done them at Jonathan's. So they're just very accommodating. It's been, they're awesome.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jonathan.
But I'm glad that season's over, that finally we got enough business coming in where we could, all right, Lord, is it time? Is it time to lay this down? And was able to, just felt confident. It was a faith step. It's like, okay, I'm going to lay this down, but I had to trust enough work. And about 2 months worth of having to turn down service calls to make it to work, because I was committed to being them. I had to be there by 4 p.m. Yeah. My commitment was to them at night. And if my phone was ringing, I couldn't take it. I mean, I couldn't take a garage door job. I committed to them, rightfully so. while I was on their clock. But it started getting to where I was having to turn down quite a bit. And so I was like, okay, I think it's time. Now's the time where this business is finally getting enough with the phone ringing to where I could step aside and do it. And it's been good, man. It's been good. We've been able to finally start scaling and growing the business. We're on year three now.
That's great. I was going to ask you, like, what's your goal? What's your vision? Like what's your next steps for scaling? If you're in the scaling stage, what does that look like for you?
Yes. So I'm in some talks with a young man that I trained in the industry a couple years back, and he's looking at joining up with me. I take him out and we partner on some stuff, but we're looking at maybe expanding, our services across to a wider area of Nashville, the Metroplex of Nashville. And he's looking at maybe coming on as part of it. I'm the owner operator now, I do a lot of the work myself, but I do contract out, on the bigger stuff to bring some help in. But yeah, adding a couple service vans, just got my brick and mortar location last November.
Dude.
Yeah. Yeah. So we had a ribbon cutting last week there. So we got an established location in West Nashville now, where we can keep inventory and keep parts and have a location there. And so, yeah, we're just looking to scale. It's a service-based business. Service industry businesses do really well if you do them the right way, from what I've learned. And if we build it up 5-6 years down the road, someone wants to buy us out, we'll entertain that and see what happens. Our desire to get back into real estate investing, I really enjoyed that time of life. And so I'm loving what I'm doing now. It's a fun business. I'm able to help people control my own schedule. And I say control my schedule. My schedule is controlled by a lot of the customers, but I'm working for myself. I don't have a bunch of employees right now. So I'm just kind of enjoying where I'm at, able to work hard and provide for my family. But we're at that point now to where it's time to start scaling and growing the business.
Cool, man. Well, that's very exciting. So, I guess maybe just give us a quick few minutes on the power of networking, because I know you talked about it a little bit, and how it's been a big game changer for you. But I know you're very integral into the Connect Nashville community. But just give us some words of advice on like why it's so important, why networking is so important, and it's maybe some of the cool things that have come out of it for you.
Relationships are everything. And it comes, business is built on relationships and built on trust and integrity. And if you show up, a couple times a year, you're not going to be remembered. But if you show up day in and day out at these things, and you have to work them, and not just that, but you work hard to spend one-on-one time together and get to know one another and how you can help one another's business. It's that relationship aspect of it, being able to help one another grow, know one another, how, how you can help one another's business grow out there. And so, but that comes through trust. If you're going to refer me and recommend me, you're going to want to know that, hey, this he's going to do what he says he's going to do. He's going to show up on time. He's going to have fair pricing. And so that, again, this goes to relationship, but also working these networking events and showing up and being a part and engaging with people, not flying in and flying out, but being there and showing up for them is very key, I believe.
Exactly. And so here, like, there's a guy at the meeting on Friday that I went to, and I wanted to talk to him, right? Because I have a guy that I know that he needs to be in touch with. I was like, holy crap. And I started talking to somebody right away. And then by the time I looked around, I'm like, where's that guy? I got to talk to him. He was gone. Like, you got to stick around for the meeting after the meeting, you guys.
Yeah.
Networking event. That's where the magic happens. I'm like, dang. Yeah. Now I got to track him down again, because I see like a very mutually beneficial situation for everybody involved here. So anyway,
yeah.
So awesome, man. Yeah. Well, anything else you want to say? Anything about Dominion Door Systems? Why don't you plug your work? Tell us why you're the best in Nashville, if anybody needs garage door help.
Well, I'm a student of everything I do. I continue to learn, and I want to be the best at what I can do. Best customer service, fair pricing. We're dealers for Clopay garage doors and Amar garage doors, which are two national brands, which is part of the process of getting, scaling the business, is having some name brands that will stand behind us. LiftMaster openers. And so we do garage door sales, service, installation, and repair across Middle Tennessee. Primarily residential. We do some commercial work. We have a few commercial customers. We take care of their buildings. Door replacements, open replacements, spring replacements if a spring breaks. Doors get ran through quite often. We'll replace sections on doors, and just a lot of upgrades and whatnot. So a lot of what we do is service work as well. A lot of times they'll be leaving for work and their spring will break. it always happens at the most inopportune time. You never know when it's going to happen, but they do break inevitably. And so, being able to be there to get it fixed for them, I pride myself on trying to be able to same day service a lot of times, be able to get there, which where we're at being the owner operator, I can control a lot of that. And keeping our prices down. There's some larger national companies in the market out here, and their prices are just through the roof. They got big advertising budgets, big fancy vans, and they're running TV ads, and they're double the cost of what I charge. I mean, I get a lot of feedback, and you kind of know in the industry who's charging what. So we pride ourselves on having fair pricing. I'm not going to say we're the cheapest because I'm out here to make a living and do.
You don't want to be the cheapest. You don't.
Yeah, we don't want to be the cheapest, but they're also paying for experience and quality and the customer service that comes with it, and the warranties and whatnot.
There you go. And I've seen it firsthand. I've seen other people in our group singing John's praises and Dominion Door Systems praises. So you guys, if you're anywhere near the Middle Tennessee area, well, maybe that's outside your service. If you're in the Nashville area and you need some garage door repairs or replacements, John's your man. So there you go.
Appreciate you, man.
Awesome, man. Well, dude, thank you so much. That was very inspiring. I'm super pumped. Like, this is like very rejuvenating. I know we got to talk more, dude. I got to learn more about all this stuff, dude. Like, you're my go-to guy now for entrepreneurship stuff. Maybe you can teach a course on my school community one of these days. Maybe we can work out something.
I love it, man. I love it.
That's awesome. So speaking of, you guys, if you want to learn more, you heard John talk about it. Investing in yourself is one of the best things you can do. Investing in education. Like, if you are stuck in that 9-to-5, or if you're just starting your entrepreneur journey, down below in the episode description, you'll see a link to our school community called How to Become an Entrepreneur. We got an awesome 8-module roadmap about how to kind of lay the tracks, how to exit in a responsible way. And I'm actually right now working on a massive sales course that should be up hopefully by the time this episode's out. So you guys, it's going to be epic. So go down below, 7-day free trial. Go check it out. And until next time, my name. Oh, yeah. Hey, John, DominionDoorSystems.com, right? Dominion Door.
Yes, sir. Yep.
All right, guys, go give them a like and a follow on all the socials as well. But all right, guys, so until next time, my name is Scott, and catch you later. Peace.